Welcome to Keep Traveling Your African Story, the only podcast that shares the real voices and journeys shaping African tourism. I'm your host, Rael Zeev, and through my inbound tour operation, Keep Traveling, I've had the privilege of connecting travelers from all around the world with the magic of Africa. This podcast is my way of opening that world up to you, a place to learn about the people, properties, and opportunities that make travel across this continent so very special. Today I have somewhat of a different kind of guest, Lisa Roberti. Lisa comes from the Chicago area and she spent about the last 90 weeks in the last few years in Africa, experiencing different places and areas. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I really appreciate it, especially doing the thing I love to do most, which is, if I'm not in Africa, talking about Africa. So I'm really excited. I've been privileged enough to visit 10 different countries on safari in Africa and spend a lot of time in the bush. And today I really wanted to talk to you about a place that's really special in my heart. I've only had a chance to visit it twice. I'm going again later this year. And that is a lodge called House in the Wild. And when I talk about what makes it so special, what I love about them is they have taken a really good community-based idea to make it wildlife rich, but good for the community and good for the way that they live their life, which is cattle. Enonkishu is the neighboring conservancy, and the two together, they turned a farm, it was complete farmland 10 years ago, into this beautiful wildlife-rich area. There's beautiful prides of lions. We have leopards there. There's cheetahs there. You have all the plains games, giraffe, elephants, zebras, you name it, you've got it there. And it's just really beautiful. When I was there the first time, I took a tour of what they're doing and why they're so special. I'm a hobbyist photographer and I love going to Africa. And I've realized over the years that the thing that I love the most is there because of what the people there are doing. And it's the nonprofits, it's the conservancies, it's the rangers, it's everything that's being put into place. So we have a place to go to view these incredible landscapes and all this incredible wildlife. When I went to House in the Wild the first time, I was really interested to see what are they doing to help preserve that and expand that and make it better. And they have so many initiatives in place. They have a Mara training center, where people can go to work on their on-ground ranger abilities. They teach the locals, they teach the women how to plant trees and grow trees, and then they sell them to the lodges and the homes. They teach them how to make candles, how to make soap, and then how do you sell that then to the local lodges. So they're really invested in the people. I've always said in order for a place to stay wild, there needs to be something for the people. Otherwise, they're going to take the land to use it for themselves, to grow their own food, to have a place for their cattle. So I just think what they're doing is a beautiful conservation win all the way around.
Lisa, let's just take a step back for a second, and I'm sure the listeners are going to be interested in how you're getting from the States to Africa. Obviously, we know it's a plane, but I'm talking about the routing. What airlines have you flown and why?
Sure. It depends on where I'm going and who I go with. I often go to East Africa. So when I'm going to East Africa, I fly into Nairobi. And for the longest time, I would fly through Europe. So I would fly from Chicago. I'm lucky because Chicago's a really good hub. And I know I have good friends who go to Africa a lot that aren't in hubs. And so they'll fly to a hub city. But I've often flown KLM Delta through Amsterdam and then Amsterdam to Nairobi. But lately what I've been doing is I've been flying Qatar through Doha. People think I'm crazy, but the reason I like to do that, it's a 15-hour flight from Chicago to Doha. And then it's 6 hours from Doha to Nairobi. And what I love about that is on a 15-hour flight, you can get settled in, you can watch a couple movies, you can eat, you can sleep, you can actually do things. When you're going from Chicago to Europe, to whether it's Amsterdam, Paris, London, you get on the plane, they're making so much noise serving dinner, you can maybe sleep for 4 hours, and it's always an overnight flight, so you get there exhausted. There's usually long layovers. But I have flown KLM, Air France, British Airways, Swiss Air, Lufthansa, now recently Qatar, and actually I'm going to be going to Dar es Salaam soon, and I'll be flying Turkish.
Okay, so you've tried them all. I think Qatar and Emirates actually have it really well, I won't say sewn up, but I think they're really doing a fantastic job in being able to network many cities together And as you say, it is a nicer experience. I think some people can sleep on a plane and some people can't. Some people are lucky enough to bump themselves up to business class, and again, some people aren't. I think you're right. It's better to have a 15-hour and a 6-hour as opposed to 2, 8.5 or 9 hours. Okay, great. So once we get to Nairobi, how are we getting from Nairobi to House on the Wild?
Yeah, I fly. I used to drive all the time. And as a photographer, I fly, and I always buy extra baggage because my camera gear weighs a lot. And that's something that a lot of people don't know is the luggage restrictions when you fly. But I do fly from Wilson Airport, and I don't even know the airstrip because sometimes I'm not starting at House on the Wild. I start somewhere else, and then I get transferred inside the Mara. But there is an airstrip fairly close to House in the Wild that you can fly into. Or if you're visiting other locations in the Mara, then you do an inter-Mara transfer with either one of your lodges that you're with.
Okay, have you ever done the drive? What's wrong with the drive? Because it's part of the journey, right?
I have driven to the Mara many times.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice drive. The biggest issue with the drive is if you're on a time crunch and you really just want to get there, it saves you half a day. But the other thing is when you go on the escarpment, which is absolutely breathtaking, if there is a one way this way, one way that way, and if there's an accident, you can be stuck for hours, literally. And so when you're going to the Mara, it's not so bad. But when you're coming back and trying to make an international flight, does it happen all the time? No. But you don't want to be there the one time that you get stuck.
Okay.
But it is an absolutely beautiful journey. And if you've never been there before, it's a great thing to do so you can see some of the countryside.
And let's talk about the people on the ground. Once you arrive in Nairobi, the people that you come into contact with before you're getting to House on the Wild. Tell us a little bit about the local Kenyans.
I mentioned earlier, I've been to 10 different countries in Africa on safari. Kenya was the first country I went to 30 years ago. Kenya is the one I have gone back to. I don't even know how many times. It's been so many times. I've gone back to a couple other countries, but it's Kenya that keeps bringing me back. And one of the reasons is because of the people. The people there are so beautiful in their hearts. They're so welcoming, so helpful, so kind. They're just always trying to help. It's just a really wonderful people. I don't know how to say it. It's just you feel at home. I remember 30 years ago, literally the first time I landed, walking off the plane and landing on the tarmac and just having this feeling of being at home. And every person I met was just so kind and helpful and giving, and they just want to make your experience so much better. That's one of the reasons I love Kenya so much.
Then we get to House on the Wild. Tell us about the property itself, the amenities at the property, and the people there as well.
So House in the Wild is really great because there's a lodge, but then they also have several private homes. Now, I've never stayed in the private homes, but you can either rent out a room, let's say, and I'll get into that, in the lodge. Or if you have a group of people, you can go into one of their private homes. And I've seen pictures, I haven't been there, but the private homes, I've heard about them, sound amazing. Now, let's go back to the lodge, because that's the only thing I have a personal experience in. The lodge, for lack of a better word, like a hut. So you get your own, it's not a room in a hotel, you get a hut. And they're all on the river, on the Mara River. So you have this beautiful view of the Mara River. The rooms are beautiful. They're large, the beds are comfortable, the bathrooms are spectacular. And I don't know if all of them have tubs. I've stayed in 3 different ones, but they have these big copper tubs, the ones I've been in. They're just so warm and welcoming. And then there's a swimming pool, there's a bar, there's a fireplace. So there's an inside sitting area where there's a fireplace. And what's cool is your meals, food is so good. The meals, they put you in different areas around the lodge during different meal times. It's really nice. It's not like it's just this one big dining room from like a hotel. You really have almost more of a home kind of feeling.
Most people coming to Africa, most people are coming for that sort of wildlife experience. So what can people expect to see at House on the Wild as far as the wildlife is concerned?
So when you stay at House in the Wild, you can do game drives in Enonkishu Conservancy, Lamek Conservancy, and Old Choro Conservancy. And those are the northernmost conservancies in the Mara. And they're just north of Mara North Conservancy. So there is plenty of game driving. There's beautiful male lions, female prides, cubs, leopards, cheetahs, elephants, giraffe, zebras, all the plains animals. You are going to see cattle because it is a working cattle ranch as well. And what they do is they have mobile bomas to keep the grazing, and the cattle really helps the land stay fertile. So they move the cattle in a rotation system, and it really works. So the wildlife is coming back because all the grasses that the wildlife needs are coming back. And then once they come back, the predators come back. You can have some fabulous game drives, and they're not very crowded because it's still pretty unknown that far north. They do horse riding safaris up there.
Okay.
They just opened a stable.
Right.
And so it's fairly recent this past year. And I have not participated in that. That got opened since the last time I visited.
You haven't participated because you can't ride a horse, or you haven't participated just because you haven't had the chance?
So they opened it after my last visit, but I used to ride. I was never that great. I would love to ride. I don't know the experience level that they're looking for their riding. Maybe I'll try it this fall.
Especially while you're carrying your camera and all your goodies and everything like that, right?
And there's lions over there, so I'm sure you know what you're doing.
Hey, listen, I'd rather be on top of a horse when there's a lion chasing me than on foot. You also spoke about the magnificent food. So they farming all their own stuff on the property?
They do have quite a bit of farming.
Right.
Yes. I don't know where they're getting their meat. I don't know if they get 100% of their vegetables and produce from their own farms. But the stuff that they had, the times that I've been there, the food was really good. Very good quality, very tasty. And then they also worked within any allergies or anything that you have.
What do you think is the biggest change in your life since you've been traveling back and forward to Africa over the last 30 years? What do you think you've learned the most?
That is a really good question. So one of the things is how much nature and being in nature and being away from the noise and all the people and sounds and cars and all that kind of stuff, the effect on the nervous system and how much you can just be. When I'm at home, when I'm in the United States, it's always, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? There you can breathe. And it's amazing. And it's hard if you've never been on safari to understand that. In one moment, you can be so relaxed and calm and just in awe. And in the next moment, there's something so extremely exciting happening. There might be a cheetah chase or something that's going on. And you still have this calmness because of being in nature. So I think that's one thing. For me, that's maybe not something I've learned. The other thing is just learning more about conservation and how quickly our wild places are disappearing around the world and how important it is to support organizations that are on the ground doing the things to keep them alive.
I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think Africa's on top of illegal poaching and stuff like that, but I do think that education at grassroots level has taken hold, because I think that's where the education needs to start. I do think that the people within the trade are educating their kids and learning that without those animals, we're going to lose a big industry. It's definitely on the up. Some of the populations of elephant and buffalo in Zimbabwe, as an example, are just becoming really prolific right now. I think we are moving in the right direction. Lisa, if someone came to you tomorrow and said, Lisa, I want some advice on how to plan a trip, what would your advice be, getting it done correctly?
I do that a lot. I've been doing that for years just because I go on safari so many times. So many people who follow me on social media have reached out to me and said, can you help me? And so I've helped a lot of people in a non-professional capacity and just from my own experience. Number one is you need an African specialist. You need somebody who knows Africa. There's a lot of great travel agents out there that maybe have done one familiarization trip. They saw 3 lodges, but they really don't understand Africa. You really need somebody who understands Africa. That's number one. Number two is I see so many itineraries where people are bouncing around one night here, one night here, one night here, one night here, because they want to see it all. And I try and explain, you end up seeing nothing. And so for me, and I know I'm a little bit extreme because I'm really into photography and animal behavior. So I stay a really long period of time. So I'm on the other extreme end. But for most people, get a feel for the place and really understand the place before you bounce and try not to do it all in one visit because you'll end up missing a lot.
Listen, you're 100% correct. Whenever I'm putting itineraries together for clients, first of all, I like to really understand what they're all about. Some people like to stay in lodges where there's only 10 individual beds. Other people don't mind staying in 300 pax hotels and that type of thing. So it's very important to get to understand what people want, and everyone's different, isn't it? Lisa, you've mentioned that you've been back to House on the Wild a number of times, and I get it. I've got a certain place on the Zambezi River that I'm sick for. I go every year, I'm there, I'm fishing, and I've already told my wife just to throw the ashes in the water when I go. I know there's other places. For you, where else would you like to explore?
So there's a lot of places that I haven't been that I want to go to. There's a lot of places in Kenya I haven't been that I'd like to go to, but I'm actually going to Mozambique next year. I'm going to Malawi later this year. So those are two there on my list. I would also like to see Namibia in Africa. Just throw a dart and take me there. That's how I feel.
Now, all this time that you have been on your wildlife safaris and photographing, there must have been a moment where you've had a run-in with an animal, where perhaps you got a little bit nervous, perhaps you got a little bit scared. Is there a particular funny story you want to share with us about an experience like that?
I get that question a lot from people. Aren't you ever scared? But I can seriously only count maybe 3 times where I've actually been scared. One of them was from 30 years ago, and we were camping, very rustic camping. In the one campsite where there were outhouses, and there was a cobra in the outhouse. I didn't actually end up seeing it. It was one of the girls in our group had gone into the outhouse. And if you've ever been to, again, this was a long time ago, the outhouses are basically holes in the ground. And then they have a little wood platform to stand on, and the cobra was curled up in the wood platform. And she squatted, and she was walking out, and she heard it hiss, and she turned around and saw it. And she came back, and she was white as a ghost. She's, oh my God, you guys, I just peed on a snake. And we're like, yeah, you're lying. No, you didn't. And then our guide went over there, and they're like, yeah, it's a cobra. And then we're all like sneaking to look, and we're like, are we stupid? Like, there's a cornered cobra in an outhouse, and we're going to go look at it. So that was one of the super scary situations, which I don't know if you could say it's funny now. Those things don't happen regularly at all. I know a lot of people always ask me because they're so afraid of snakes. I average a snake sighting about once every 13 weeks on safari. And that's from a vehicle with the snake on the ground. So I don't want people to get scared after hearing that story. Oh my God, I can't go on safari because you're going to pee on a snake. They're actually very beautiful. And as long as you don't scare it or try and manipulate it or anything like that, it's quite a safe thing to see.
The beautiful thing I love about nature is that you know what you're getting. Whereas with people, that's a whole other ball game, isn't it? You can never quite judge a book by its cover with people, but with animals, you know what to get. And as long as you respect their space, you're always going to be okay. Lisa, just as we're ending off, do you think the tourism industry in Africa does enough to encourage the North Americans to visit?
I think there's a lot of people that are afraid because they don't understand Africa very well. And unfortunately, we see a lot of negativity, a lot of negative things that come out. We don't always see the good things. But then on the other side, you have these beautiful documentaries that are filmed in Africa, and that makes people want to go. And there's a little bit of a disconnect between those two things. I think more and more people have safari on their bucket list and they want to go. I think the other problem is a lot of times the negative things is what goes viral on social media. And this happens in India as well. You see like a lot of cars surrounding an animal. People don't want to be a part of that. It's not the nice side of tourism. If that doesn't happen everywhere, and again, with education and with the tourists being educated to say to their guides, hey, we don't want to be a part of this, I think it's changing. I really think it's changing. And I think that Africa is such a beautiful place. Not only the wildlife, the landscape, the people, the culture. More and more people, I think, are learning that and actually want to go and experience that.
You're a photographic extraordinaire. Do you have a website that people can follow your story?
I have a website. I write blogs. I write every once in a while, and that's at lisamroberti.com.
Okay, and we're going to put that information in the show notes for the listeners.
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming and telling us about House on the Wild and sharing your African story. You've really been awesome to have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I was really excited to be here and to meet with you. And I think what you're doing is amazing. So thank you.
What a cool conversation. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your story and for everything you're doing to grow African tourism. Don't forget, every week we feature fantastic prize giveaways from some of Africa's most beautiful lodges, camps, and travel partners. You could win your own unforgettable getaway just by listening, subscribing, or visiting keeptraveling.africa/podcast. Or read more about today's guest by looking through the show notes. Don't forget to follow Keep Traveling on social media for the latest episodes, stories, and travel inspiration. I'm Rael Zeev, and this has been Keep Traveling, your African story. Remember, a few years from now, you won't remember how much it cost you, but you'll always remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.